Hi guys, welcome to Auntie Stacy Speaks. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Mindset 101. Happy Sunday, my Mentally Fit tribe. And I trust you are all having a blessed day so far. So here we are once again for another word, for another discussion, for another fill for the week. And today I want to speak on a word that so many of us try to avoid. We take it out of our vocabulary altogether. But I want to bring it to the fore today. And the word is accountability. Yes, that word, accountability. And just to give a definition as to what accountability is, it says accountability is the obligation to take responsibility for your actions, decisions, and outcomes. So it is the obligation to take responsibility for your actions, decisions, and outcomes. And more often than not, we fail to hold ourselves accountable for our actions, our decisions, and our outcomes. And I say outcomes because a lot of times some of the things that we go through in our lives is based on choices that we made, decisions that we made. Sometimes it is a case where we were told, whether it is, with mother, with father, somebody said to us, don't do it. But we still went ahead and we did it. And because we went ahead, we made a decision for ourselves, then we have to suffer the consequences of that decision. But too often than not, even though we know that we made the decision, we chose to do whatever it is that we did, but we still try to find somebody to blame for the outcome. So we refuse to hold ourselves accountable to say that, okay, then you know what, this was my decision, this was my choice. So whatever the outcome is, it's my fault. But we're not like that. The other thing too is that sometimes we do these things to people, we treat people badly, and we think it's okay for time to pass and for us to just go back and speak to the person like nothing happened. It's not going to work. You need to hold yourself accountable. If it is that you know that you did something that hurt somebody, hurt them to the core, right? And you think, okay, if time passed, that's going to make it okay for you to just go back and have a conversation and pretend like nothing happened. No. Because even if that person entertains a conversation with you, there's still going to be, that thing lingering. And so because it's lingering, it's going to affect the relationship. It's not going to be the same. So the proper thing to do would be to hold yourself accountable and to say, you know what? I did this, or I said this, and I was wrong, and I know that probably my actions and my words were hurtful and it might have affected you negatively, and I apologize. But too many of us are filled with pride. We're so prideful to the point where we would much rather to lose a friendship, lose a relationship, than to admit that we were wrong and to apologize to the person that we wronged. It's like we look and we say, no, we're not going to stoop. We're not stooping. We said what was said and we're standing by what we have said. And so if it is that is your posture, to say that you have said what you have said and you're standing by it, then do not be surprised when you start losing persons out of your life. Do not be surprised when doors are closed, because one thing I know for sure is that God is not going to allow his children to stay in situations like those. And so if your actions have closed the door to that friendship and that relationship, you have nobody to blame but yourself. And so I'm saying to you, my Mentally Fit tribe, today, that hold yourselves accountable. If you wronged somebody, you're not too big to say that you have wronged the person and to apologize and say that you are sorry. Also, you know, as adults, we need to hold our parents accountable too, because that's another thing. So parents will continue to do certain things, and it's all because, you know, when they do it, and even though we know that whatever they did, it's wrong, we're not going to say to them that, you know, I think what you did was wrong. We're not going to, in that moment, hold them accountable for their action. And like for me personally, I know it's something that has always happened with my mother. Now, in the moment when she's carrying on, I'm not going to say anything in the moment, because I'm not going to let it feel as though she and I are having an argument. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to allow her to say all that she has to say, and to talk it with her chest and to speak it boldly, because I guess she's saying, you know, I am the parent, so, you know, I am free to say whatever I want to say and tell her anything that I want to tell her, because I am the parent. No, you know, that's not right. It's not the right approach at all. You know, respect goes both ways, and so I respect you, you respect me, right? And so in a situation like that, I allow her to have her say and do as you know she wants to do. But you know, as the Bible would say, when you think it's peace and safety, it's sudden destruction. And so, you know, once the dust has settled, then I will approach her and I will say to her, you know, how what she said and what she did, how it affected me. And I also hold her accountable for her actions, to say, you know, why it is that your approach was wrong. And, you know, at times as parents, they don't want to hear that, because they feel as though they're always right, which is far from the truth. And so, you know, there's going to be that like awkward moment. But awkward as it is, you know, at times we have to ensure that we are holding people accountable. Like if we love someone, then it is our duty to hold them accountable. Just as how we are accountable to God, because He loves us so much. That is why we're accountable to Him. He's going to hold us to the things that we do, the things that we say, and He's going to correct us, you know, when we're going down the wrong path, right? So holding somebody accountable, it's not because you have any ill feelings towards them or anything like that. It's out of love. It's out of saying, okay, what you did was wrong, you know. The actions, your behavior is unbecoming. You know, we expect a little bit more from you than what you're doing now. And, you know, it's for them to do that introspection and looking to what it is that they said, what it is that they did, and to come to the realization that, you know, probably I could have handled the situation a much better way than how I opted to handle it. And to hold yourself accountable in that moment for how you chose to deal with a situation, which, you know, there's always a better way to handle a situation. Sometimes we respond to things from a place of flesh and not spirit. And, you know, once we go into the flesh, then, you know, all bets are off. Once we get into the flesh, then we just get away with ourselves. And so that's why it's important for us to try and stay in the spirit. But today, hold yourselves accountable. Think about your behaviors, your actions. Think about your interactions so far, you know, last 2 months, since the start of the year. Think about how you have been interacting with persons. Think about the things that you have done, and do that introspection to determine whether it is that, you know, you really need to go and apologize to some persons. You know, do that introspection and look to see if, like, the decisions that you made, you know, how it negatively impacted somebody else, you know, how you were feeling in a moment, and, you know, your feelings got, and your emotions went wild, and, you know, you really did and said some things to somebody that would have hurt them, that would have probably scarred them, that would have caused them some amount of pain. You know, we're not about that. as the Bible says, you know, we are to do unto others as we would have them do unto us. I mean, that's like the golden rule. And so you also have to be mindful of the fact that what you do to somebody else is a seed that you're sowing. And the Bible also says that what we sow, we most definitely shall reap. So if it is that you know that you have wronged somebody, you know, make it right. Hold yourselves accountable, make it right. And don't allow that seed that you have planted to fester, because most definitely you're going to reap what you have sown. So do that introspection. Check yourselves to see, okay, have I done anything that I thought was wrong? That I thought, you know, wronged somebody else? That I thought, you know, put somebody in a position that really and truly, you know, it was not good. It was not good. And like I said, like for the parents, you also need to hold yourselves accountable. Like, this is not a one-way street, right? You're not allowed to treat your children any old way because you are the parent. You're not allowed, you know, to emotionally abuse your children because you are the parent. You're not allowed to bleed out on your children because you are the parent. No, it is not fair to your children. And so you have to hold yourselves accountable. You have to work on the things, whatever is happening on the inside of you that is causing you to evoke these emotions towards your children or your child. You have to work on that. That is your responsibility. And so I'm encouraging you to do that introspection, you know, work on that past hurt, trauma, whatever it is that is causing you not to be yourself, that is causing you to bleed out on people who did not cause any hurt or pain to you. You know, whatever it is that's causing that, today, I'm challenging you to hold yourselves accountable. I'm challenging you to do that introspection and to look and see, like, if your energy, you know, that energy that you have, it is in the wrong, it's being targeted towards the wrong person. It's going the wrong way, right? I'm challenging you to hold yourselves accountable to the choices and the decisions that you made that didn't work in your favor, but somehow you feel as though somebody else is responsible for your outcome now. No, you are responsible for your outcome. You made the choices that you made. You made the decisions that you made. That is your responsibility. And so I am encouraging you to work on that healing that needs to take place so that you can stop bleeding out on people who are innocent in the matter. And again, like I said, my mental fit tribe for this week, I am encouraging you to hold yourselves accountable. If you know that you have wronged somebody, apologize. Apologize. Right? If you know that you have made a decision that have gotten you into the situation that you're in, stop blaming everybody else. Hold yourself accountable. Stand on it to say that this was my choice, this was my decision, I am here because of me. That's it. And that's also a part of the healing process, right? Part of the healing process is holding yourself accountable for the role that you played in everything that happened in your life. Because we did play a role. You know, we saw the signs, we saw the red flags, and we could have, leave, and we opted not to leave, right? The man cheated once, and we could have leave, and we opted not to leave. We opted to forgive and stay. He cheated twice, we opted to forgive and stay, right? So when him cheat multiple times, you know, who is to blame? We have to hold ourselves accountable. We were the ones that kept giving chance after chance after chance. God was showing us what this man is about. You know, he was giving us the opportunity to leave, to do something else for ourselves, to make a better decision, and we opted not to. We opted to stay the course. And so if you opted to stay the course, whatever the end result is, you must stand proudly and say, this was my choice, this was my decision. You know, don't blame everybody else. This was my choice, this was my decision. In the moment, I thought this was what was best for me. hold yourselves accountable. So for this week, my Mentally Fit Tribe, like I said, I'm challenging you to do that introspection, right? To look at the decisions, the choices that you have made, to think about the things that you have done, that you have, wronged somebody, how you have wronged somebody, or how you have hurt somebody through your actions, through your words, right? And hold yourselves accountable. Recognize that, these were my actions. There was no spirit operating within me. This was all me. I took it upon myself, and these are the things I chose to say to people. This is how I chose to deal with people, and if you feel convicted after you have done the introspection that you need to apologize to some persons based on how you have treated them, then go and make it right. Go and make it right. Right? Don't lose your place. Don't miss out on a spot because of the things that you have done against the children of God. Go and make it right. So my Mentally Fit Tribe, have a blessed week. And like I said, for this week, we're holding ourselves accountable, and we're also holding individuals accountable. Nobody is going to come and treat you badly and then feel as though time passes and they're able to come and just speak to you as if nothing happened. No, we're holding you accountable. You have wronged us, and you have hurt us, and you need to make it right. Right? We're not just going to come and have a conversation with you. No, we're not doing that. Right? Before so, we're going to keep the door closed, because at the end of the day, sometimes some doors just have to be closed. You just forgive so that you don't have any ill feelings in your heart towards people, but the door can stay closed. Because like we said, forgiveness don't mean reconciliation. So my Mentally Fit Tribe, challenging you all this week. Hold yourselves accountable. Hold persons accountable. We're not giving anybody any free pass for the rest of the year. We're standing on business, because by holding persons accountable is how we're going to help them to be better people, or we're going to help them, to work on those triggers inside of them, whatever it is that's causing them to behave the way that they're behaving. We're going to help them to work on that. Just by holding them accountable, we're helping them to be a better them. So have a blessed week. Until next week.
Thank you for watching. See you next time.